Welcome to the Global Warwatch Network. Today, we're getting into a story that's, it's much bigger than the headline suggests. You've probably heard about Saudi Arabia's massive $600 billion AI revolution. Maybe you thought it's all about innovation. But what if the real story is very different from what reporters are telling you? We're going to pull back the curtain on this huge transformation. We're looking beyond the numbers, exploring the strategic chess moves, some surprising partnerships, and really what it all means for global power down the line. We've gathered insights from all over economic reports, tech infrastructure analysis, geopolitical takes to give you the full picture. So, what does this actually mean for the global landscape? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with the sheer scale of this. Vision 2030, it isn't just a plan, is it? It feels more like a fundamental pivot away from oil, and AI seems to be right at the heart of it.
That's exactly right. Vision 2030, it's about transforming the kingdom, fundamentally, into a global tech powerhouse. Diversifying the whole economy into, knowledge-based industries is a massive shift from that traditional oil for security idea. Now it's centered on AI, digital infrastructure. It's building a totally different future.
And the money behind it is just wow. We're talking an expanded package with the US, $600 billion, with talk of maybe even a trillion.
Precisely. And that number isn't just theoretical. It involves real strategic deals, mutual investments in key sectors. I mean, look at the LE 2025 conference, over $14.9 billion announced just for AI investments.
Yeah.
And in the first couple of days alone, they pulled in $22.4 billion for tech and data centers.
Wow.
Plus, their sovereign wealth fund, the PIF, you mentioned it, its U.S. equity holdings are up to nearly $27 billion now. Big stakes in companies like Lucid, Uber, EA. So yeah, it's about cementing their place, actively shaping global tech, not just being passive investors.
Right. So that level of spending definitely suggests it's more than just changing things at home. How are they planning for this AI push to reshape their global influence?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very calculated play for global leadership. The National Strategy for Data and AI, the NSDAI, it basically states the goal: be among the top AI nations by 2030.
That's ambitious.
It is. And hosting things like the World Economic Forum regularly from 2026. That's not just for show. It's about putting themselves right at the center of those global economic, global tech conversations, influencing the direction. And the whole thing promises, job creation, tech advancements, stronger trade ties. It could really reshape whole industries worldwide. It's a total repositioning.
Okay, so the vision is huge, but how do you actually build that AI future, especially in a nation historically focused elsewhere? What are the concrete foundations?
Well, the absolute cornerstone is computational power, data centers.
Yeah.
They have 33 running now, but the key is the 42 more that are under development.
42 more.
Yeah, and these aren't small additions. They're projected to add something like 2.2 gigawatts of IT load capacity.
2.2 gigawatts. That's
It's a
big.
massive increase. Think of it like building a national AI factory. They're talking 500 megawatts just of GPU-powered compute. Put that in a European context, Saudi Arabia would suddenly be like the fifth largest tech hub on the continent.
Just like that.
It's about the scale needed to process data, train models, deploy AI everywhere, essentially.
Okay, that scale is hard to grasp. Can you give some specific examples of these huge projects?
Sure, you've got NeoM's $5 billion project with DataVolt for a fully sustainable AI data center out in Oxagon. Mobley Telecom is putting nearly $1 billion, $911 million into digital infrastructure, including vital submarine cables. You need those data highways.
Right, the physical links.
Exactly. Alphaner Company is building 4 data centers. That's a $1.4 billion investment. And, maybe most interestingly, the U.S. chip startup, Groq. They got a $1.5 billion commitment from the kingdom. That's to build what they're calling the world's largest AI-focused data center in Dammam, working with Aramco Digital, specifically for AI inference, making the AI useful in real time.
Groq. Okay.
Yeah.
That brings us to partnerships. You can't build all this alone. Who are the key players making this happen? It sounds like the U.S. is deeply involved.
Deeply is the right word. That relationship is really being redefined. Back on May 13th, 2025, President Trump visited, and they formalized that $600 billion economic partnership we mentioned.
The big one.
Yeah. And it's two-way. Saudi Datavolt is investing $20 billion to build AI data centers in America.
Ah, okay, so it flows both ways.
Definitely. And at the same time, U.S. tech giants Google, Oracle, AMD, Salesforce, they committed another $80 billion towards joint ventures. Cloud computing, chips, enterprise AI, it's all intertwined.
So it's a real bilateral tech embrace. Beyond just the raw computing power, what about the cutting-edge stuff, the really futuristic applications?
Right. This is where it gets really fascinating. Humane, that's a new Saudi AI firm backed by the PIF, chaired by MBS himself. They're slated to get 18,000 of Nvidia's top-tier Blackwell chips.
18,000 of the best chips.
Yeah, the absolute cutting edge.
Yeah.
That gives them immense power for training the next generation of large language models, advanced AI. It's critical for becoming a leader.
Right.
AMD also jumped in, pledging $10 billion for AI infrastructure with Humane, looking at local chip production too.
Local chip production, interesting.
And then there's Elon Musk. He announced Tesla's self-driving robotaxis and the Optimus robots are heading to Saudi Arabia. There was even that demo of the Optimus bot doing the Trump dance.
I saw that.
Musk thinks these robots could boost economic output tenfold. He's projecting Tesla could become, get this, a $25 trillion company by 2040, partly because of Optimus. So we're talking tangible applications, autonomous systems, advanced robotics deployed there.
Okay, beyond the massive U.S. involvement, who else is Saudi Arabia partnering with? Are they diversifying their tech relationships?
They are, definitely. It's not just a U.S. play. They're building a diverse global network. Huawei, for instance, has an agreement with their National Center for AI. That's for training AI engineers and, importantly, developing Arabic language AI capabilities.
Crucial for local use, yeah.
Absolutely. Alibaba Cloud is in the mix, too, collaborating on digital and AI services for smart cities, healthcare. There's a $2 billion joint venture between Alit, another Saudi entity, and Lenovo for AI and robotics manufacturing. And even Chinese AI firms like DeepSeek are operating now through Aramco Digital's data centers, keeping data local but collaborating regionally.
And I heard something about minerals, too, critical minerals, which seems vital for actually making all this tech hardware.
Yes, that's a really strategic piece. A partnership between MP Materials, the big U.S. rare earth player, and Ma'aden, the Saudi mining giant. This isn't just digging stuff up. It's about building an alternative rare earth supply chain.
Directly challenging China's dominance there.
Exactly. It secures those vital inputs for EVs, robots, AI hardware, all of it. And the kicker. Recent discoveries have apparently doubled Saudi Arabia's estimated mineral wealth. They're now looking at maybe $2.5 trillion in mineral resources. That makes them a major, major player in that critical sector.
This whole picture, it's incredibly ambitious, almost dizzying. But transformations this fast, this big, they must face some serious challenges, right? What are the main hurdles?
Oh, definitely. There are quite a few across different areas. Strategically, they need to keep refining their national AI strategy.
Right.
Balancing developing their own local industry versus relying on international collaboration. That's a tricky line to walk.
Sure.
Technologically, it just requires sustained, heavy investment in R&D and infrastructure, not just buying the latest kit. Societally, bridging the digital divide is huge.
Yeah.
How do you make sure everyone benefits, even in rural areas? That needs widespread AI literacy programs, accessibility.
Right, ensuring it's not just for the elites in the cities.
Precisely. And then there's sustainability. All this compute power uses enormous amounts of energy. Given their environmental commitments, developing energy-efficient AI, investing heavily in renewables for these data centers, that's absolutely vital.
That energy point brings up ethics. With AI developing so rapidly everywhere, how is Saudi Arabia tackling the ethical side of things? That's a global conversation right now.
They're addressing it head-on, primarily through SDAIA, the Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority. Late last year, December 2023, SDAIA rolled out its AI Ethics Principles 2.0. It's built around 7 core principles: fairness, privacy and security, humanity, social and environmental benefits, reliability and safety, transparency and explainability, and accountability and responsibility.
Okay, those sound comprehensive.
And the big change from the previous version, they explicitly removed waivers, meaning ethical considerations are now non-negotiable for all AI projects in the kingdom, no exceptions. It signals a much stricter, more proactive approach. They're trying to bake ethics in from the start.
So what does that actually mean for companies working there? How does it impact development?
It means strict compliance is mandatory. SDAIA introduced a tiered risk system, low or no risk systems. Compliance is recommended. Limited or high-risk systems. Compliance is required, along with extra controls. And systems with unacceptable risk, things like inherently discriminatory AI or maybe unchecked mass surveillance tools, those are just outright banned from development.
Banned entirely, okay.
Yeah. And the companies themselves are responsible for compliance. They have to appoint people like a responsible AI officer and RAIO to oversee it all.
But let's circle back to the U.S. relationship, specifically around the chips. You mentioned huge partnerships, but sources also point to some friction over access to the most advanced chips. How does that work?
Yeah, that's a really crucial, kind of delicate point. Under current U.S. export controls, Saudi Arabia is classified as a Tier 2 country.
Tier 2 meaning?
Meaning controlled access to the absolute top-end AI chips. They face licensing requirements, import caps. Now, some analysts argue this is, well, counterproductive, diplomatically awkward, maybe even economically self-defeating for the U.S.
How so?
Well, the argument is it potentially penalizes a key partner, creates frustration, and might push them to look elsewhere for alternatives, maybe from rivals, and it could hurt U.S. companies' global market share in the long run. It's like giving someone the keys to a supercar but limiting the engine's power.
I see the dilemma. So, is there a proposed alternative, a way to foster that deep collaboration while addressing U.S. concerns?
Some analyses suggest moving away from the tiered system towards something like a unified global licensing regime. This would be anchored in binding government-to-government AI agreements. It could give Saudi Arabia broader, more predictable access to U.S. hardware and foundational models, but in return for really strong export controls on their end and maybe even co-governed infrastructure to ensure responsible use.
A partnership model, essentially.
Exactly. Setting a potential model for digital cooperation elsewhere, too, across the Gulf, the Global South. Building trust, not friction. As Minister Al-Swaha warned at Alabi 2025, the world doesn't need more polarization now. We need to work together to avoid making the digital divide even worse.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, listening? Saudi Arabia's AI vision, it's clearly not just a regional story. It's a potentially seismic shift aiming to redefine global tech and economic power. From these absolutely enormous data centers to, well, dancing robots, this transformation is fueled by incredible amounts of capital in these complex strategic partnerships. It really could reshape the whole AI landscape in the next decade. This huge ambition tangled up with geopolitics, ethics, it's definitely something to watch very closely as we move deeper into this intelligent age. The big question isn't if Saudi Arabia will become an AI player, but maybe. What kind of world emerges when a nation built on oil becomes a global hub for AI? Will it foster more collaboration, or just create a new front in the race for tech dominance? Something to think about. Thank you for your time and participation in this important discussion. We really hope you found this compelling. If you did, please consider hitting like, share, and definitely subscribe to the Global Warwatch Network. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comment section below. And please join us on social media. You'll find all the links you need right there in the description.